The unhappy writer lives a miserable life. For months on end, he cannot write a single word. His girlfriend leaves him. He has no money and no hopes for a better life. But everything changes when he accidentally tries a new invention by scientists. The NZT pill allows him to unlock 100% of his brain's potential. He quickly finishes his novel, which becomes a bestseller, earns a lot of money, and starts living the life he could only dream of before. If you've seen the movie Limitless, you know what I'm talking about. Would you like NZT to exist in real life? That pill would make you feel like a god, just like in a video game, and use your brain to its maximum capacity. And every task, whether it's learning a new language or building a business, would be accomplished without much effort. And as a result, you could finally reveal your full potential. Do you feel that you are capable of more than you have now, don't you? But when you return to real life, it's like running in circles. You're always tired, getting lost in social media. You know what you need to do, but you don't do it. And all you say is, tomorrow. But tomorrow never comes, and everything starts over again. But what if I told you that you could truly activate the God mode, and without any magic pill, but by using a proven method that anyone can apply, completely free? Essentially, it all comes down to the 4 components of the God mode, which I will reveal in this video. But what is the God mode, really? Surely you have experienced it, haven't you? Try to remember the last time you were completely absorbed in what you were doing. Remember that state of consciousness that makes work easy and effortless. Maybe you experienced it when riding a bike, playing sports, creating music, singing, dancing, or working on a big project. Many, if not all, of humanity's greatest achievements have occurred in this state. The best of the best, those 1% of athletes, writers, directors, and entrepreneurs, all use this state, even if they are not aware of it. The flow state, hyperfocus, the stream of consciousness. This feeling has many names, but I call it the God mode, because it seems like I have applied some sort of key code in real life, and the sensations are such that I not only fulfill a task, but I completely merge with it, and it emanates from me. I am not the author of this text. I am rather its first reader. Just think. I am not the author of this text. I am rather its first reader. The God mode seems to be the panacea that would solve all your problems in life. Sounds good, doesn't it? And it would really be so if you knew how to enter this state. But the problem is that most people don't even realize that. And if you don't learn the 4 principles of the God mode, this phenomenon will remain a mystery to you. Let's start with what blocks the God mode. Defocusing, chronic stress, procrastination. These things have become the norm, and we know for sure the starting date and the end. January 9th, 2007. Exactly then, Steve Jobs presented the first iPhone to the world. 19 years later, in 2025, 80% of people start their day with their phone, thus killing their concentration and making the God mode impossible. Remember how you started your day today. Maybe before getting out of bed, you managed to check Instagram or got stuck on YouTube. What happens to your brain at that moment? Your brain literally fries in cheap dopamine. Dopamine is known as the happiness hormone. And we are all hunters in search of dopamine, except that the quality of this hormone, happiness, can be different. Cheap and expensive dopamine, just like with food and calories. In fast food, the same calories, only they are empty and have a negative impact on your health. The same goes for cheap dopamine. It blocks your ability to enter God mode because your brain is already full, and from the early hours of the morning, it is fried on an empty happiness hormone. That's where the devil lies. Exactly for this reason, you are not focused, and you procrastinate. If you want to run a marathon, it is logical to assume that you will not be able to do so if you have a certain injury. The same goes here. Only this injury is the addiction to a cheap source of happiness hormones. Essentially, you need to reset your brain to factory settings, and I have a way to do that. 11 months ago, I remained silent for 13 consecutive days at a retreat in Thailand. This is the most extreme dopamine detox. During those 13 days, you couldn't talk, write, read, use technology, or exercise. Even food was limited to 2 meals at 6 and 11 a.m. The only thing you could do was meditate. That is, do nothing. Just observe your thoughts for 16 hours a day. It was the toughest challenge of my life, just sitting with your thoughts and emotions in total boredom. But in the end, I gained a superpower, the ability to concentrate. Immediately after the retreat, I focused on 2 things, my business and my YouTube channel. For those who still don't have the opportunity or don't want to go to Thailand, the Buddhist monastery, and sit and meditate for 16 hours a day, I have gathered the basic principles into a preparation protocol for the divine regime. First, remember how you feel after spending 30 minutes on social media. In the process, time passes incredibly fast. You want more and more, but in the end, you feel that something is not right. You feel empty inside. The devil is in your phone, I'm 100% sure of that. To always be under attack from new notifications, messages, and breaking news. Therefore, the first thing you need to do is to disable all notifications on your phone. And when you do that, you will be surprised to see that nothing bad has happened. You haven't lost anything. Moreover, now other people can no longer control your time. Now you are the master of your own situation. Point number 2. The purpose of all social networks is to keep you as much as possible inside them. The best minds of humanity spend billions of dollars to achieve this. That's why social networks are so addictive. And if you try to limit your time spent on social networks, you will realize that in one way or another, you will lose. And you won't even notice how you find yourself back on social networks and get lost in Instagram or TikTok. It's the same as swimming against the current of a river. That's why, for me, I found the only method that works: deleting all social networks from my phone. I only use social networks on my computer because it's extremely inconvenient. I deliberately create obstacles for myself to access social networks. Point number 3. The worst thing you can do for your brain is to grab your phone immediately when you wake up and start scrolling, checking notifications, or reading news. You only increase the cheap dopamine level to the sky. And that's why, after such a morning routine, you can't start your real job. That's why I don't use the alarm on my phone, but I use a clock. Its main purpose is to wake me up in the morning. I travel a lot and everywhere. In every country, I see poor people. And one of the characteristics of these people is that they are simply glued to their phones. That's why, if you win the war with your phone, you will trigger the domino effect. But let's be realistic. Let's assume you've already started your day with the phone for 5 to 12 years. And most likely, during detoxification, you will feel, well, not okay, as if all your energy has completely left you. But that's okay in reality. The purpose of dopamine detox is not an attempt, it's a change. Self-change. What's the point of struggling for a week and then starting to browse social media again like a zombie? I woke up, immediately went to practice, studied, read a book about productivity, and only then sat down to work on my tasks. In the end, 3 hours passed and I didn't accomplish anything. The morning routine for maximum productivity doesn't actually make you productive. I was a hostage to all productivity routines until I understood how our brains work. It seems that right after waking up, it's easiest for us to dive into that state, in that godlike mode when tasks will solve themselves. But instead, we simply waste our higher power in vain or treat it unconsciously. In this block, I will explain my work protocol in God's way, and in the next one, I will reveal how to recover and rest correctly. As I said, right after waking up, it's easiest for us to dive into God's mode. Our discipline battery is fully charged. So why not sit down immediately and start the day with the most important tasks for your future? These are the tasks that will take you to a whole new level. For example, 10 years ago, I learned German and Chinese just because I woke up at 5 in the morning and worked on languages. I had no talent for languages, and I was the weakest student in the group. But these 2 hours of maximum concentration took my language skills to a whole new level. The state of concentration is like your fitness level. The more you train, the better shape you are in. But after the initial sprint and flow, you will notice how your brain starts to tempt you to pick up the phone and browse social media, an activity that does not bring you any benefits. That's how our brain is built. Its main mission is to save and not consume energy. But there are a few tricks here that allow you to stay in flow. The first one is the Pomodoro technique. It is a time management method. The main idea is to use a timer to divide work into short intervals, about 25 minutes each. After each interval, you can take a break of 5 to 10 minutes. It is scientifically proven that this method increases concentration. However, I have adopted this method for myself because I know that I will face the greatest resistance in the beginning as soon as I sit down to work on a task. That's why I simply extend the working periods to 40 to 60 minutes. Of course, it is absolutely necessary to take breaks. But here's the trick. When during the break, you continue to stimulate your brain, for example, scrolling through social media feeds or watching videos, your brain doesn't rest, but continues to work, and even more intensely than during work tasks. That's why it's best to take a short walk or meditate as a way to relax. Yes, it's not as fun as being glued to your phone, but that's how you can recharge for the next round. The second trick is changing the view outside the window. This is one of the productivity tricks I discovered when I lived in China a few years ago. I always started my work block at home, then went to a cafe where I worked for a few more hours, then went to another cafe for breakfast and could work for a few more hours there. After breakfast, I went to a co-working space, and there I had energy again for 1 to 2 hours of work. That's how I spent my whole day. Just moving between locations, I realized that by simply changing the view outside the window, I could remain productive. The change in environment not only restored my focus, but also stimulated my creativity. This allowed me to approach tasks from new perspectives. In addition, this approach helps me clearly separate work from rest time. Freelancers will understand me now, and I made the same mistake when I started working as a freelancer. I always worked from home, and this boundary between work and rest was completely blurred, and tasks stretched throughout the day. The third trick is music. Of course, in each location there will be a different level of noise, and this is uncomfortable. This is exactly why I came up with the next trick. Usually, I like to work in absolute silence. But when I feel my brain starting to get tired, or when I am in a very noisy location, I use background music. For me, I discovered this app called Brain FM. It is said to be specially made for work concentration based on our brain data. This app is of course paid, but on YouTube you can find similar music and it's completely free. The idea is to create an association in the brain between music and focused work. What happens if the way you work depends on how you rest? How does an average boy rest? He probably waits for Friday, goes out with friends, sticks to social media and YouTube, watches TV series, and that's called rest in the public opinion. The average boy gets average results. I never wanted average results, so I can't have a standard perspective on life. Let me remind you that, in America, and this is a proven fact, the average boy looks like this. He is overweight, divorced, and has less than $1,000 in his bank account. How far have we come from America? I'm not sure, but I believe that at the moment, you are definitely not who you want to be. If you don't know how to rest properly, you will notice that you simply can't get into the state of being like a god. The sensations may seem like tiredness, low motivation, or chronic stress, but in reality, it's something different. Researchers call it allostatic load. Allostatic load, in other words, is the physical and mental wear and tear that comes from constantly adapting to the pressures of life. If not properly managed, the allostatic load increases over time and accumulates in our nervous system. Unfortunately, most of us never escape from this accumulated load. It's like constantly doing bicep curls without giving your biceps enough time to recover, and eventually, you reach a point where you literally can't lift a cup off the table. But if you allow your biceps to recover between workouts, over time your biceps will become stronger. Allostatic load similarly affects our nervous system. So when this load is elevated, it means our body and brain are in a constant state of adaptation to new stress, and at the same time, our system releases more stress hormones, such as cortisol and adrenaline. This is completely opposite to being in a state of divine balance, which is associated with the balance of certain hormones in the brain, such as dopamine, endorphins, and serotonin, which contribute to focus, creativity, and problem-solving ability. And here, when this cocktail of flow is affected by a heavy allostatic load, your productivity decreases, and it's like driving a car with the handbrake tightly pulled. Here it is. Now, understanding your enemy, we must understand how to fight with it, that is, how to eliminate this allostatic load. It seems that we just need to draw a line between two types of rest, relaxation and recovery. Relaxation is that sticking to social networks or watching series. Yes, we relax, but actually this is a false rest that does not make us better. What we need to aim for is recovery. And here's the trick. Recovery is an active process that causes discomfort at that moment, but actually releases the allostatic load. First, I will give examples of active recovery. Then I will present my protocol and how I adapted it in my life. First, I will give examples of active recovery. Then I will present my protocol and how I adapted it in my life. Here's what really recovers us: meditation, physical exercise, sauna, cold water baths, breathing practices, stretching, and of course the most important thing that recovers us, quality sleep. Based on this information, every Friday I apply my recovery protocol. My main goal is to recover by Saturday morning. I do this for a simple reason: I don't take days off. That is, I don't rest on Saturday or Sunday. On the contrary, I increase my loads. 99% of people rest on weekends. All my clients and my entire team rest on weekends. And that's why, every year, I have 104 more days, which gives me this advantage over everyone else. I simply don't take my foot off the accelerator pedal. And here's the secret. In life, you can move much faster than everyone else just through volume. Holidays represent almost 30% of the year. But to truly enter God mode on Saturdays and Sundays, I need quality recovery. And this starts on Friday morning. Every Friday, I give up coffee, meaning I allow my brain to recover from caffeine. This increases sensitivity to caffeine, and I achieve a deep 10-hour sleep from Friday to Saturday. Around 5 p.m., when my entire team finishes their workday, I turn off my phone. No messages from that moment on. Then I go for a run of approximately 5 kilometers. As we know, physical effort is one of the ways to recover. After the run, everything is simple. 3 rounds in which I combine the sauna and the cold water bath. As you can see, recovery is very uncomfortable at that moment, especially when you sit in that ice bath. Then, dinner and I go to bed around 9 p.m. and I achieve the deepest and quality sleep. So on Saturday morning, I have so much energy that I can borrow. Until you introduce the recovery process into your life, your limits will remain unknown. Well, now you have that key code that can unlock your God mode. But the main question is, do you have the courage to unlock it and truly show the world your real potential?